Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, we are continuing with the chapter 15, homeostasis, the first part of which osmoregulation. According to the textbook, next heading, water relations of cell. Water is the solvent of the solutes in the cell. Water is the solvent of solutes in the cell. Each cell has a definite quantity of water in relation to salt in it to perform its function. And homeostatic mechanism generally maintain this concentration. Nothing to give more stress. Next might be an important lesson. Balance of water and solutes in the body. Cells consistently face changing extracellular environment. सेल्फ का एक्स्ट्रा सेलुलर इन्वायरमेंट हमेशा मतवातर चेंज होता रहता है. The extracellular environment of a cell may be of three categories: hypotonic environment, hypertonic environment, and number three, isotonic environment. Hypotonic environment. If external environment is dilute solution as compared to internal cell concentration, if external environment is dilute solution as compared to internal cell concentration, then the external environment is called hypotonic. For example, freshwater environment is hypotonic for most of the organism. Freshwater environment is hypotonic for most of the organism. Next is hypertonic environment. If external environment is more concentrated solution as compared to internal cell concentration, then the external environment is hypertonic environment. If external environment is more concentrated as compared to internal cell concentration, then the external environment is called hypertonic environment. Third one is isotonic environment. If the concentration of external environment resemble to internal solution, if the concentration of external environment resemble to internal cellular concentration, then this type of environment is called isotonic. Dear students, the example of hypertonic environment is marine environment, seawater. Marine environment, seawater is hypertonic for most of the organism. However, seawater or freshwater may be isotonic for some organism. In most of the cases, freshwater is hypotonic for most of the organism, Marine water is hypertonic for most of the organism, while some organism may have isotonic concentration for seawater as well as fresh water. So what is the effect of hypotonic or hypertonic environment on the body of the living organism, on on the cell? If a cell is placed in a hypotonic environment, there will be osmotic entry of water into the cell. As a result, solution of the cell is diluted. Cell become turgid and cell may burst if it is an animal cell. What is the problem of hypotonic environment? In hypotonic environment, there is osmotic entry of water into the cell. As a result, cell become turgid. If it is an animal cell, then it may be harmed. It may burst. On the other hand, hypertonic environment renders cell solution concentrated. If a cell is placed in a hypertonic environment, water will move out of the cell and cell will shrink due to loss of water. So both hypotonic and hypertonic environment may be harmful for the cell. So as a result, to prevent these situations, cells osmoregulate themselves to keep water and salts balanced in plants and animals. Animals and plants living in hypotonic or hypertonic environment may have to make some adjustment to osmoregulate themselves. They have to keep balance of water in their bodies. How does it occurs in different plants and animals? We'll study in the next lessons. Look here, cell is a place in a hypotonic environment because outside environment has more water as compared to inside. Water will move into the cell. As a result, cell become turgid. Here, see hypertonic environment. As hypertonic environment is more concentrated, water will move out to the cell and cell may shrink. Diagram B is isotonic environment. This is an ideal situation and perhaps it is not available for most of the organisms. This isotonic environment is not available for most of the organisms. Ideal condition, there is a balance of entry of water and removal of water into the cell and out of the cell. Cell retain its shape in isotonic environment. These are very important terms for the examination point of view, as well as for the next incoming lessons of the chapters. Now, next lesson is osmoregulation in plants. Important, easy topic, very important from examination point of view. Osmoregulation in plants. Plants live in a variety of environmental conditions. Plants are distributed in different habitats. There may be abundant water supply, there may be moderate water supply, there may be severe dry conditions. Some of the plants live in abundant water supply. However, for some plants, the water supply is moderate. And there are plants which live in extreme dry conditions. So accordingly, there are three types of plants on the basis of availability of water: xerophytes, mesophytes, and number three, hydrophytes. First of all, hydrophytes. Hydrophytes are the plants that live in abundant water supply, particularly in freshwater environment. Hydrophytes are the plants which live in abundant water supply. And such plants will face the problem of flooding of the cells. Water will continuously enter into the cells. For this purpose, they have the adaptation to remove flooding of its cells in fresh water. They have to remove water from the bodies. उनकी सारी जिंदगी इसी में गुजर जाती है पानी निकालने. They must have the adaptation to remove flooding of its cells. What kind of adaptation they have? Number one, they have a leaves with a large surface area to transpire water excessively. Large leaves, more surface area, more transpiration. They have thin or no cuticle because they have to lose water. Number three, such plants have extensive stomata which are present on the upper surface of the leaves, facing toward the atmosphere, so they can lose more and more water. Large leaves, thin or no cuticle, extensive stomata on the upper surface, and poorly developed root system. What are the examples? Hydrilla, Potamogeton, Vallisneria, and many more. So hydrophytes are the plants which live in abundant water supply in fresh water. They have to remove flooding of water in their cells. For this purpose, they have large leaves, no or thin cuticle, extensive stomata on the upper surface, poorly developed root system. Second category, mesophytes. Mesophytes are the plants which live in moderate water availability. Adaptations. Such plants keep their stomata open when water is available. When water is sufficiently available, they keep their stomata open so that they can lose water. However, in restricted supply of water, stomata are closed to prevent water loss. If water is available, stomata are open. If water is not available, they close the stomata. The plants we look around us, brassica, rose, mango, all these are mesophytes. Then the third category, xerophytes. Xerophytes are the plants which live in extreme dry condition, which can live in extreme water shortage. They face the problem of dehydration. So they must have the adaptation to reduce rate of transpiration. Xerophytes must have the adaptation to reduce the loss of water. What kind of adaptation they have? Number one, they possess small thick leaves. Small thick leaves to limit loss of water by reducing surface area proportional to volume. Small leaves, less surface area, more volume. Small thick leaves, less surface area, more volume, reduce the rate of transpiration. Then thick cuticle, thick waxy leathery cuticle, which will reduce the rate of transpiration. Third, their stomata are present on the lower surface and stomata are present in depression. Sunken stomata, S-U-N-K-E-N, sunken stomata. Stomata present in depression. This will also reduce rate of transpiration. As the stomata are not exposed to direct light, transpiration is reduced. Then some xerophytes such as cacti shed their leaves in extreme dry condition to reduce transpiration, to restrict transpiration completely. Some of the xerophytes shed their leaves in extreme dry conditions. During these conditions, their stem becomes photosynthetic. This is another adaptation. When water is available in rainy season, they used to store water in the stem. Some of the xerophytes store water in the stem for the use in the dry conditions. And their water storing structures are called succulent. And such plants are also called succulents. Succulents. Succulents are the plants of dry condition which store their water in stem or even in the leaves. So xerophytes are the plants which can live in extreme dry conditions. They have adaptation to reduce loss of water, small thick leaves, less surface area to volume ratio, thick cuticle, stomata on the lower surface, stomata present in depression, shedding of leaves in dry condition to reduce to check rate of transpiration, and storage of water in the stem or even in the leaves to use in the rainy season. Example of such plants, cactus, opuntia, euphorbia, and many more. They have many more adaptations which reduce the rate of transpiration, but we restrict ourselves according to our textbook. Thank you very much.